Eli, we're done. Can you make sure you do the punk rock one?
Let's go!
Okay, Jess, you're gonna just start recording me out of nowhere? Damn.
I forgot. This is the funny stuff. See, and we just got your dirty little horn. No one knows why.
I hope not, because you're gonna be like, Eli, just play with that shit for 1 minute. I'm a dirty little whore. Okay, great. Now I'm saying it, and anyways, I'm not talking anymore. Oh, we're waiting for Martin. And like the one thing I absolutely hate about Martin is like the part that I absolutely fucking hate about my little brother is, oh, hey Martin.
You're taking too long. I obviously understood what you were doing.
No, what? What? What are you talking about?
You're trying to make fun of me. I gotta go get my charger. Wait another 10 minutes.
Oh my God. You're about
Martin.
to get of your fucking free gig.
Right.
We all just got home from work, okay? We all haven't ate. We all have yeast infections. It's life. Jess, so you've never had a yeast infection? Because you made it seem like that's why you always have a yeast infection.
That's chlamydia.
No?
Stop talking. I think you're confusing.
Did you just say chlamydius?
Chlamydia.
Jessica just said chlamydius. You know what, Jessica?
That's what I named my cat.
Chlamydius. That would be such a good name for a cat.
Chlamydius.
What the fuck did you do to the couch? The cat's gonna be like, it's because you named me fucking chlamydius, bitch. Get ready.
I'm gonna have all these scratch marks all over my face. It's
chlamydius.
It's like, what happened?
It's chlamydius. It's fucking chlamydius. You're gonna be like, bro, get away. You need to fucking take the third COVID vaccine, bruh. You're dying.
Oh my God, Prima. You need to stop. Your sister's been talking nonsense, Martin, for 7 minutes.
Yeah, Martin, thanks.
You should listen to her fresh off a blunt. She goes into straight dumbass mode.
I get it. So
I don't like you guys.
But it's whatever. It's mostly I'm the best one, but whatever. Welcome to the Primas podcast, everybody. I am Cindy. What's up, world? Prima Jessica.
Hey, Prima. How are you? I'm so excited because tomorrow I'm going to go visit you. Do you miss me? Do you miss me?
Yes. I especially miss the little baby. I want to see her.
I know. I get that a lot. Everyone's like, okay, cool, Jess, you're coming, but is Melody coming? No? Okay, then. It's cool. You don't need to come.
Yeah, I was thinking just take the day for yourself and I'll just kick it with the girls. I'm just saying. Like, I need a break. No, I'm just fine. I'm fine. We love our kids. Kids are great. What?
You guys should just
Speaking of kids, a WAP?
A swap.
A swap? Oh, yeah, I could do that. I don't know if... Yeah, you have enough hands, Jess. You have enough hands. You have a whole team. And I think that would help you.
When I was there, last time I went to go visit Cindy, I was there for 2 weeks. Yeah, I was house sitting the two girls. And no, they were like two little Tasmanian devils, like just feeding off each other's energy. And I'm like, they're going to go to sleep soon. They're going to go to sleep soon. Nope, that didn't happen. I was like doing customer service. Wow, both the girls were just running around, like screaming, and it was so hectic.
You handled that like a champ. So every time I would come home, I felt like a dirty, like bad husband. I was like, damn, you've literally been taking this shit. Like, cause the first 5 minutes, it's like, please shut up. Like, stop yelling. Why are you guys have so much energy? It's the fucking evening. And so.
Exactly true.
Okay, let's nip that in the bud, said Martini. So Martine's in the house. Bam, 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 bam.
Woot, woot.
What?
I just said Gucci gang.
Oh, here we go. Here we go
All right,
with your
let's do this.
younger millennial bullshit. Just
I said
kidding.
Atlantic Coke. I'm ready.
So I want to ask you all a question to get us started with today's topic. Is there ever a time, or was there ever a time that you can think of right now that you're holding on to a grudge? Like, is there something that you're like, ooh, I still haven't let that go, and
I
you're not afraid to talk about it, because we respect privacy?
I definitely I this is a good topic. Um, I definitely I don't know if I would call it a grudge, but I definitely like have those experiences that I've went through that I'll kind of never forget. Like I moved on. Like if someone hurt me type of situations, like I still have stuff that
Like they're dead? Yeah, I get it. Like they're dead in your heart.
nah, I don't really hold on to it like that. Like I try to, like I said, I still there's I'm human, so of course we're gonna remember stuff that we've been through, like trauma and stuff like that. But or just any type of experience. But I don't think I hold on to it like against someone. Like if I'm arguing with someone, I try my best not to bring up like the past or anything. I try to be in the moment of what are we arguing about and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good.
Um, but
Because in
like
arguments, it's very easy for people to be like, well, remember that one time? And I was like 4 years ago.
yeah, and it happens. Like don't get me wrong, it still slips here and there. But I think I've done a way better job of not holding on to the past so much and being able to argue like what's at hand. But I still slip up. Like there's still moments that I'll remember, but I don't think I'll consider them like a grudge. Like I don't hate nobody that I can think of that's ever put me through something. Like I forgive, don't necessarily forget, but like I don't really think about it too
Mhm.
much.
Well, let me pull out my list, Prima, because yeah, there's a bunch of people on it where I definitely can think
They're
off the
dead
top
to
of my
us.
head. Yeah, where I'm just struggling with. I still have grudges. I know I still do, and it's what I'm in therapy for, to learn to let go of things that are out of my control. So I do have a
What?
list.
Yeah. Do you guys have any particular examples? One that I can think of for me is, do you like how I ask a question and then I answer it? You
Yeah.
know what? I'm going to pull back because we're learning, and I just caught myself and I'm holding myself accountable. So go, shoot.
I would actually say if you could give an example, unless you already have one, Jess, because I don't really.
Okay, so for me, one thing that I feel like comes up, this is my example, is people will ask me very, very vaguely, because people talk about when you're a mom or you're pregnant, you're like, oh, your pregnancy. And you always want to talk about the labor part or just little things that happen, right? For women. And when I start talking about my story, I literally want to tear up again. And I'm like, damn, that's been 5 years. Like, let the hurt go, bruh. So I'm very aware of it, and it sucks because it's almost like that part of me, and that's just one part. It still has control over me if you think about it, because that was 5 years ago. And when I talk about it, like those feelings come up again, and yeah, it sucks.
Prima,
It
why
is.
do you ask us? Why did you ask us that question? Does it have to relate with this topic?
Yeah, I ask because both of you guys, we both said it. When we're living in the past, we're prisoners of the past, of our own thoughts. Because when we think back into those experiences, like when I think back into my when I was pregnant or my labor story, I my my brain, when I think of that memory, my brain goes literally back into that moment, and my central nervous system starts. I start to get in fight or flight because I was in fight or flight for a long period of time during that time. So anytime you hold a grudge, you're still living in the past. And we've heard this many times, it's better to live in the moment, because not only can we not control the past anymore, it really doesn't exist. And so we're holding on to this illusion. Like, yeah, sure, it happened, but we have no control over it. We can't go back into time. And we're wasting time thinking about what happened then versus how can I fix this issue now so that I don't feel this way anymore when this comes up or whatever.
I don't. I don't know. I don't know if I have a like something specific that I can think of, and I think that goes into. I try not to think about it too much. Like I don't try to think about the past too much. I used to be kind of like that. Like I used to be able to reminisce a lot, but I'm starting to forget a lot of stuff that was going on because I'm too focused on what's going on right now. So I can't think of any specific situations that like I would say I'm still holding on to. Um, but I'm sure there's stuff like when there's certain actions in who I am because of my experiences and what I've been through that I react the way I react. But I can't think of any specific examples right now. But I know there's a bunch. Obviously, everybody's gone through their stuff. I just can't specifically pick one out right now because, like I said, I try not to. If it makes me feel bad, like if I went through it and it made me feel bad, I'm not trying to think about it again. You know what I mean? Like that's my way of coping. Like you go through, I go through my emotions, which I appreciate. Like I've kind of learned how to appreciate my emotions, even though it sucks. So you don't want to be mad. Nobody wants to be mad. Nobody wants to be sad. But you know, you got to embrace it. It happens. That's how you become a little bit more comfortable with anything that gets thrown at you. Like just embrace the emotions you go through. But that being said, I don't like to remember what I've been. I don't want to remember something negative, and I don't want to hold on to it. So I try not to think about it too much. So that's why I can't really like.
That sounds like you're suppressing it, Martin.
I don't think so because I'm not traumatized by anything. Like I'm fine. I'm not suppressing anything. I'm not angry at anything. I don't feel hostile or anything like that. Like I talk about it when I'm going through whatever. I just whatever I'm going through. If I'm going through it with someone, I talk about it with them, and move on. Like I'm not suppressing. Like it goes. Like I have no reason to really think about it anymore. Like it's in the past. Like how is that bettering me? Continuing to think about the past, and it's not even affecting what's going on now.
You said something earlier. You said, I like to feel good, right? And you said that when you think about these things, that doesn't make you feel good.
Yeah, like if it's a negative experience.
So you're choosing. I don't know if you guys know Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks, if anyone's listening, but they're like spiritual motivators, and I really like them. But they say exactly what you're saying. They're saying when you do think of a thought that doesn't make you feel good, sometimes it could be a grudge, sometimes it could be like the past, it could be anything, work, whatever it is, choose a better feeling thought. And you do that. You're doing that by saying, you know what, this doesn't feel good, and I'd rather feel good. And so if that thought doesn't make me feel good, I need to change it. And that's consciousness. That's being self-aware. Yeah. And that's one of the solutions to this issue. If a lot of us are living in the past, you know, it just depends on what our different experiences are, but we're always trying to live in the moment. So when our brain does sneak back into the past, we have to think about what we're thinking about. Like that sounds crazy. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just like, I don't like this feeling. Why are you feeling this way? Oh, because this song took me back to this one situation, and I started to replay it back in my head. It wasn't a positive situation, so therefore my brain thinks I'm there again. How can I feel better? And then you gotta choose a better feeling thought. You gotta be in the moment and say, what are you thankful for? You know, your health, your car, being able to drive you places.
Yeah, so I try my best to be in, like everybody does that, you know, everybody, like you said, everybody trying to be in the moment. I'm trying to do that. So thinking about like stuff that, because I do think about stuff in the past that does get me emotional or stuff like that, but I try not that I try my best, but I try not to go back because I'm like, that's already happened. What am I going back for? You know what I'm saying? Like if I think about, and as an example, like something that hurt, and this is an extreme example, but it's a good example. Like if I keep trying to, like if I think about Kobe's death, like why am I trying to think about that? Like it already happened. It's sucks to think about it. Like I've already embraced that it happened. Everybody had to. It happened. But if I keep thinking about it, again, this is just an example. Like if I keep thinking about it, it's just gonna make me sad again. Why am I trying to? I've already embraced it when it happened. I remember the exact day when I found out and everything, and it broke me down because I don't know. It brought me back to like high school. That's when I got into the Lakers and stuff like that. So it was an emotional attachment I had with someone I didn't even know. But like I said, if I usually think of the happy thoughts rather than damn, it sucks that he's dead, but I'm not trying to go deep into that and just keep feeling that. Like I don't want to keep feeling bad. That's not me. It's like going to a horror movie. I don't want to get scared. I just rather be watching comedies.
That's good. You point that out. You stop yourself, and that's something I could lose myself in. And the technical term for that is like you ruminate. It's just like you're in a hamster wheel in your mind going around and around and around with the same thought. And sometimes that's how we get lost in the past, you know, and I'm still practicing that. I haven't mastered it as much as you have, Martin, from the sound of it. I do still think about, and it's as simple as like, well, why did this person just yesterday choose to do that, you know? Or why did this person choose to do this or say that, knowing it was going to hurt my feelings, you know? And I just tend to lose myself in that aspect. So it is very hard to stop in that moment and be like, okay, let me change it. And it's all about unlearning and untraining our thoughts to not be like that. Because yeah, I noticed when I'm thinking about, or like what could provoke like my anxiety is the past. And some people it's the future, you know, thinking about something that hasn't even happened. And me, I go back into the past is where I've identified it. But that's a good step. It's learning to identify, okay, shoot, I'm getting lost in the Kobe moment. Like, you know, it's enough. I'm not going to keep going around in that hamster wheel in my mind, which is, it's just really difficult for a lot of people to master. And like I said, I'm still practicing it. It's a practice. You have to learn how to catch yourself, which like Cindy said, you have to be conscious at that point, you know, aware. Yeah. And it's really difficult to stay in the present.
And the reason we wanted to talk about this is because, like we've mentioned with, you know, being on top of your finances, eating well, taking care of your energy, finding solutions to all of the problems that come up in life, unresolved conflict, you have to take care of that because it leads to premature aging. It leads to like a lot of stress and a lot of suffering. And a self-care tip that's like a financial, like getting your budget together is a self-care tip. So is dealing with your unresolved conflict. And that's why I wanted to give examples in the beginning, because a lot of people could be like, well, what does that mean? You know, and you got to dig deep. What makes you uncomfortable? Is there a person that triggers you when they come around? Is there certain situations? Or it could be something as little as last week, or how you said, Jessica, like, why did that person do that thing yesterday? And then you always got to ask yourself, what could you have done better? You got to just catch yourself, you know, and question everything that you're feeling in that moment. Like, why do you feel this way? Go into that. Don't be afraid to go into, be like, why are you feeling this way? Ask yourself, you know, because you got to learn yourself. You got to learn who you are. Like, this is, as we always mention, layers and years of trauma, of behavioral conditioning from like society and our world. And so it's not going to be easy, but the more you practice to stay in the moment and to say, there's nothing you can do about 5 minutes ago, as much as it hurts or not, you know, and that seems pretty radical, because like my mom, sometimes like my argument style, she doesn't like when I say, Mom, that's in the past, let it go, you know, because for her, she feels like she's not being heard. And so I see it her way. I get that. And so I try not to say it, but I don't say it with that intention. Like, I don't care what you got to say, Mom, even though that's how she's taking it. For me, it's just like, I try not to think about that because there's nothing I can do about it. So how can we focus on right now on having like a better situation, whatever that is, you know, because what good is it to keep bringing up all of the hurt from the past? But at the same time, you want to bring it up, right? To like hear people out and stuff. So, you know, it's just, I don't know, we're different. And that's how I feel about the past and the present.
And I know we love psychology and this idea, right? The Charles Darwinism, survival of the fittest, right? We've talked about it several times and it could be applied in different contexts. And with this
Charles
context,
Darwin.
Yeah, that one.
Charles Darwin. He said Darwinism.
Oh yeah, Darwinism is like his theory of like, you know.
It's like when you said chlamydia.
Freudian.
But whatever.
I didn't say it. Anyway, now you threw me off. See what you did? It's like,
you're saying Charles Darwin, survival of the
fittest, yes.
Oh.
When we think about that idea, he discussed about evolution, you know, it could be applied in different contexts. And I think in this context, it could definitely be applied. Because when I hear that, I always thought it was like the strongest person survived, right? But through my studies, I learned it's the species who adapts best in their environment. And things happen to us every day that are out of our control. So instead of dwelling on it and pondering and thinking about like, well, what if this or what if that would have happened, or why did this happen? Instead of just thinking about that, I think what I'm still in practice in is like learning how to be in the moment and in the present and coping with it and dealing with it right then and there and not sweeping it under the rug and like, you know what, I'll deal about it later. Like, I don't have time for it now. And I think that's like a snowball effect, because I'm not dealing with it. I'm just sweeping it under the rug. So I really like that term. When we're talking, it's all about like adapting to different things that people are going to throw at us and even our environment, we have no control over.
I have a quick story because it just happened. To use as an example, my brother Robert was here visiting and he had his car towed from my parking lot. And it was like horrible, right? Like it was like $300 because we didn't register the car. I didn't know you really had to register the car. I hadn't registered my car. And so he got upset, which is totally understandable. So I
this
come
is
home,
like
right?
bringing up emotions from the Raider
what?
Raider episode. This is all over the Raider episode incident again.
So you
It's all
guys
your
know
fault.
Robert. No, just fine. No, so okay, so he, and we're siblings. Everybody acts differently. Like me and Jessica are going to be more cordial to each other than she is going to be with her sisters or me with my brothers. So it's a little different. And so I get home and you could just it's the vibe is there. I'm tired as hell. And so I hate that this is going on, but I have to help like register the cars and everything. I'm hungry, but I can't eat because I'm like, no, I got to fix this. So we talked about it and we talked about it and it was awkward a little bit, but I like talking about shit, like especially with people that I care about. Like, nah, let's did I do something wrong? How can I fix, you know what I mean? Like I don't play about my relationships. So anyways, we think it's past, right? And then some days go by and he's almost leaving. And then he springs something up again about that moment. So I'm like, okay, I thought we had dealt with it, but it doesn't matter because I love my brother unconditionally. And if he needs to talk it out some more, let's talk it out some more. But for me, that's still dealing with it in this at the same time. Yeah, a few days passed and I thought it was all good, but he kind of still had some unresolved conflict. And I'm just like, he was like, no, but it's good. We talked about it. I'm like, no, let's talk about it some more. But now his wife is there, his two girls. And I want it to be very like, let's set an example of it is uncomfortable. It is awkward to share our feelings. Like, well, I still feel like that shit hurt. Or F you, Cindy, like you should have warned me. And I'm trying to explain, like, I didn't know. The only reason they hadn't towed my car was because I've lived here before. I've lived in this apartment complex before, and so they had my license plates registered. Or that's my theory, because they've been towing cars crazy up in here. Like everyone
just feels bad about your car and it's like, pobrecita, like this girl already has a crappy ass car. Let's not tow it some more because it's already on the rims. Are they even gonna roll it? That's like the solution.
Oh,
they look at your car and they're like, 2 of these wheels are donuts.
Donuts.
You guys can hate on the Black
she still manages to live here, and I guess this is why she doesn't have a car note.
Okay, so they didn't tow my car because they felt bad for me. There. Mm-hmm. That's why.
That makes more sense than your idea.
Whatever. I've lived here before. I've registered my car before. All I gotta do is run the license plate. You know what? Whatever. People want my car. My car's so fast and swift on the road. Don't lie, Martin. You've driven it before. You know it still kicks.
Just when it doesn't snow, because then forget it. There's no grip. And it's snowing right now.
The environment has to be very perfect for it to function at its full capacity.
The stars have to align for her to drive it out. If it's a full moon, forget it. Cindy will not touch the car at all.
If it's warm out, forget it. Like I can race you straight from the parking lot.
Dude. You would think if the people can see your car, your fans can see your car, you would think Cindy's car got shot up.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it, Martin.
Like, what happened in your life that you look like you just went through war?
I'm gonna record the Prima's live of her opening the door, like 20 minutes.
She needs a WD-80 for her car. That shit sounds nasty, dude.
I'm gonna do it.
Cindy's car, put it this way, Cindy's car is ashy somehow. Cindy got an ashy ass car.
Every time I get out of Cindy's car, I need a TB test because of the rust.
No disrespect any of the kids that used to have this back in the days or that still do, but if Cindy's car was a kid, it'd be the car that has two silver teeth.
Oh, my stomach hurts.
Cindy's car is that type of kid that your parents tell you don't hang around that kid. That's what Cindy's car looks like if it were a kid.
Silver teeth. You had me at silver teeth.
Oh,
your car.
You guys, those were good. That's good. You guys are getting better at your comebacks. Be fucking proud of yourselves.
Cindy, that's tit roasting you. Nothing knows.
Oh, okay. That was crazy. Those were good. Those were back to back. Anyways, yeah, the Black Pearl has been through war, okay? But she lives in the moment, Martin, and that's what this conversation is about.
Very in the moment. She is not kind of.
And she lives freely. She doesn't care what society has to say about her. She's comfortable with who she is because she's done the work. And I don't know if I can say the same for you guys. So
your car has a smoker's cough.
Okay, I don't know. Can we move past this? I love you, Black Pearl. Shout out to the Black Pearl. It's been with me through thick and thin.
Somehow it's gonna have flat tires when she wakes up tomorrow.
My car is fully functioning. It always just. And you too, Martin. You guys always use my fucking car when you guys are out here, and you have the nerve.
I always tell you, Prima, I'm gonna rent a car unless your mom lets us borrow her car. And you always say, yeah, for sure. And I get there and I'm stuck with the Black Pearl. So don't act like I'm part of this plan.
Because why would you spend money? Like Mariela would not be proud of us right now with you just throwing money because you're like, no, this is embarrassing. What are people gonna say?
No, I'm afraid that my daughter gets a scratch. We're gonna have to go to the hospital.
For real, you
because of all the rust.
If you sit in Cindy's car, you're at risk of catching hepatitis.
Or chlamydia. Chlamydia's for sure in the back seat. Let's not lie.
And not to mention everybody has had sex in that car.
It's like my mom's red couch.
Oh my gosh, you can feel the dents in that couch.
Ugh.
All right, you guys are giving me chills now. I don't want to talk about this.
Oh, because she doesn't want to talk about how many times she had sex in both of those items.
Yeah, exactly, Jessica. Okay, so moral of the story. We've been talking for like 10 minutes.
No, honestly, but I did want to go back to that whole the holding the grudge thing. I wanted to give another take on that real quick. I have started feeling a lot more I don't know when. I mean, obviously you can't pinpoint a moment, but I have you do that where you talk to yourself. I'm the same way, like in an argument, I try not to I just try not to hurt anybody. And I know holding on to a grudge, it could come out in the middle of an argument with somebody out of nowhere, and then you can hurt somebody. And so I'm not about that. I just feel like holding a grudge is kind of I don't know, it almost feels, I'm sorry to say this for those who, survive cancer or those who pass, but it just feels like that. Like it feels like a cancer just to hold on to so much anger or.
That's a great analogy because it really is that sickening to our body. Like it does make us sicker.
I'm just not a person I'm not a petty person. I'm not somebody who, like I said, if I'm in the middle of an argument, I try not to insult anybody. Like I'm not the type of person who's gonna cuss at you in an argument. Like I'm gonna if we're arguing, I'm gonna embrace the fact that we're arguing, but I'm gonna stick to the topic. I'm not gonna just allow my anger to be like, fuck you or whatever. Like, yeah, I might get angry in my tone or something like that. It's an argument, it happens. But I try not to get off topic. And so when people bring stuff up, and like I said, I'm guilty of it too, but I'm trying to be more aware of, let's not bring that, we're not bringing up something that happened in the past. We're talking about what's happening now.
That's really hard to do. That's super hard.
I can't stop somebody from bringing up the past if, in the middle of an argument, but I can stop myself and be like, hold on, I don't want to talk. That's not what we're talking about. Like, if you can't get past it, then how are we going to fix what's at hand right now? Like, what are we dealing with? You know what I'm saying?
I think the other important thing for that also is to apologize. If someone is holding a grudge towards you, I guess this is like a solution. If someone, like my mom always brings up stuff from the past when we get into arguments, or like my brothers sometimes will bring up stuff from the past. And I've made it a point to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I hurt you. That wasn't my intention. I didn't mean it that way. Like my mom will bring up shit that I did when I was a teenager. And I'm like, Mom, I'm in my 30s, like I'm not that person. We're constantly changing. That's, I mean, whatever theories you believe in, but like evolution and the way that we continue to move forward in this planet, like as creatures, we're always in a constant state of change. So for my mom to be holding on to something that happened 15, 20 years ago, she's letting 15 and 20 years of her life of having that thought about when we come together. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, I've been practicing compassion. Like, you know what? I hurt you during that time, so I'm going to apologize. Because I wish she would apologize for hurting us. That would feel good for our therapy. But that's nothing that we can control.
And that's accountability. That's the whole point of this conversation today is you, Prima, what you just said, by opening up that dialogue, by saying, you know what, I'm putting my pride aside and I'm going to say I'm sorry. Because I think those are really tough words for someone to own up. And when you're setting the tone like that, it's just already bringing down the escalation. Like, how can you argue? And like Martin was saying, you can't control the other person's reactions, but you can control yourself. And you're going to lead by example. You're going to say, well, this is how I'm going to open it. This is how I'm going to start my side by saying, I'm sorry. And let me hear you out. Because just because we're not listening to each other. And we've talked about this before. It's not that I want to change your perspective. I just want you to hear me out and understand. And it's the same reciprocation that we're going to give to the person on the other end, right? And I think that's the whole thing is accountability. And with the whole George Floyd thing and everything going on, it's so easy to say like, finally, but it's so hard to self-reflect and say, I'm going to be the bigger person and let that go. And let's open it now, like, how can it go downhill from there?
Yeah. Accountability. That's beautiful. So the other one that I wanted to ask you guys was, have you ever thought of a situation that you say, man, I wonder what could have happened had I stayed at that job, had I made this type of money, had I got married to that person, had I had kids with that person, had I had another child, you know what I mean? Like if there's like a time in the past when you guys can think of like, man, I wonder what could have been, and share any examples, and you just get happy and you get nostalgic, and then we'll go into that one real quick. Any examples?
I have an example. I'm not going to get specific because I'm pretty much, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way because 2020 was a rough ass year, but there is a lot of stuff that I obviously everybody does it. Like, oh man, I wish this, or I wonder what would happen if this. I try not to get too stuck on dwelling on that, but I honestly just started the process of trying not to do that to myself anymore because I don't know. I want to be happy with the situation I'm in and anything else that's going to come at me. So I try not to be like, I'm trying to learn how to stop doing this. I wish I would have done this because it's just like that holding the grudge thing. Like it doesn't matter because it's already gone. Like it already happened. And that's what stops you from focusing on what's like kind of ahead. But as far as giving examples, I just honestly like I went through a lot in 2020, and it took a lot for me. Like I've been kind of reflecting over the past few weeks a lot, like that I kind of feel like I overcame 2020 in my own way, but because I think I had to go up on my own. Like I don't need anybody else to identify it. It's something I can identify within myself. But there was just so much that I kept thinking like, damn, what if I didn't do this? What if I did that? Like, what can I tell this person so that this didn't happen and things like that? And I just kept getting stuck with like, why can't you just move on from what's happening? Because I'm not a person, like I said, I'm not a person who tries to stick in the past. I don't want to feel bad, but I wasn't embracing the fact that I was depressed during 2020. I was going through a lot. I'm just so stuck in my mind trying to convince myself that I am happy. But I realized the damage that I was doing to myself because I kept thinking like, oh my God, like what happened? Like what could I have done? And shit like that. But I wasn't embracing like the actual blessings that were there for me. Like I had my family in Colorado for me. I had my friends in Colorado that were helping me as much as they can and doing everything they could for me. So it was just me like later on having to figure out like, damn, I should have just embraced what I was going through and learned and forgave a lot sooner rather than keep thinking about what was going on. Because I was torturing myself even when I finally came back to California. I just kept thinking about it.
So
I need to move
you
on.
said
You know, uh-huh.
you said you were depressed, and that's another side effect of living in the past.
Hmm.
When people are depressed, it's always because they're, like you said, you're still, it's like a grudge. You're still holding on to, well, what if I could have done this? How am I going to do that? And when you're in kind of like a survival mode or like fight or flight, you're not allowing yourself to think straight. You can't think straight in those moments. And one thing you can do to help, again, when you get into this negative state of mind and you don't feel good, if you remember to, or write it in your mirror. Sometimes I write a lot of stuff in my mirror to remind myself, like, take a deep breath. And that's kind of like a form of short meditation. Like, take a few deep, sometimes I'll take like 10 deep breaths. And after the fifth one, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. It's boring. Like, I'm like, all right, I get it. Just like, no, take 5 more deep breaths. And it really, really helps. It helps kind of like you to relax. And you always have to remember what you're thankful for. And that'll put you back into like an alignment and you'll start feeling better.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I just wanted to mention this really quick. It's funny how we we try to, where everybody in life always tries to say that they're trying to be in the moment, whether them just trying to convince themselves that they are and they're not, or we just, I don't know, we tried to feel like we're in the moment and we're present, but because it's funny how we always think back about all the negative stuff that happens, and somehow the past ironically like affects our future. Like we start thinking about the past and we let that be like, so what am I going to do now though? Like we're not like, we're so not in the moment, that because we're let, like our trauma and our experiences in the past are so embedded in us, and we think that that's who we are, like the past, that we start thinking like, well, how am I gonna, like, just like you said earlier, just like you need to be able to adapt and figure out obstacles. That if you don't want to feel this way, if you don't want to go through this, if you don't want to feel the way you did in the past for your future, you don't want your future to be the same as your past, you're tired of feeling this way. It's hard. I'm not saying I have the answers, but yeah, it is having to talk to yourself a lot and realize, like, embrace what you're going through, because that's how you're going to be able. For me, that's kind of like my philosophy is I need to embrace what I'm going through. If I'm mad, sad, happy, whatever, I need to embrace it, react how I'm going to react, and that's how I feel I'm gonna get over something a lot sooner. That's how I feel that I'm not holding that grudge. I'm not holding on to the past so much, because I'm trying to embrace what's going on. I cry with my brothers, I cry with my friends, I have my feelings, but I go through it so I don't have to think about it again. Like we've already gone through it. Like, how can I adapt from that? What my future needs to be different. I need to react to this now so my future could be different. I don't want to be stuck in the past.
Yeah, I hear you. It is tough. It's all in practice, though. And I think the biggest term, aside from all the things we discussed, is accountability. Like I'm such a big believer in that right now. Like I can't control anybody or anyone's actions but my own. And it's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, but we're learning. And that's where I'm at right now. Life, we're seeing it in the social justice movement. We're holding people accountable for their actions. And I believe in this movement. I believe we are making changes compared to like the last couple of decades, as far as back as the 60s, where I think the pattern was the same, or the same narratives were being said, but we're changing things, guys. And I think our generation is doing that, and we're changing it within our own families. So
yes,
kudos.
Accountability will really like change the vibe around you. It'll change your karma up. Like if you want some good karma headed your way, hold yourself accountable every single time someone says like, oh, you did this to me, or I didn't like how that made me feel. Or if you just know, like, I know me and my cousin have some tension. I know me and my brother have some tension from when this happened 10 years ago. I know that me and my mom, whatever it is, it could be any relationship that you have. Don't be afraid to reach back out and tell that person like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I've done that before. There was one time I had a sorority sister. I was 21. Again, my 20s, I think me and Jessica said this enough, were like not the greatest time of our life. Like we were learning, we did a lot of dumb shit.
Poor choices.
So,
I say poor
Parties,
choices.
You're right.
pockets.
Poor choices. And I'll go back, like if I feel like, oh, you know what, this person still feels a little bit weird towards me, and I get it. I was young, I was dumb. Let me go back and say, even if it was both of our situation, I'm like, hey, I just want you to know that like I was like in such a weird place at that time, and I'm sorry if I ever hurt you or whatever. I hope you're doing well. Peace out. That's not for me to expect anything back. That's just to fix my karma and make sure I'm going back and wherever I need to go to be like, hey, my bad. And that's holding yourself accountable, and it really does change things. Like it
When you
changes your relationships.
when you apologize to those people, did you also happen to like those people from your past around your early 20s? Did you also happen to mention that you were always on like 4 loco cans in every time?
I mean, I gave them a quick summary. Like, man, I just wasn't. I was doing
We're
a
always good.
lot.
We did
I
four
was doing a
locals
lot.
before the FDA came in and took out that illegal ingredient. So yeah, I
Yeah, I'm
think
not
that says
proud
a lot.
of that.
Me either.
Yeah, that says
You
a
should
lot
have
of where our brain was at.
you should have told them I was always like heavy under like at least a
Okay,
good
it
two
wasn't
to
like that.
three
But I think
locos.
that's a good one. Yeah, and it's a two-way street, guys. You can't expect someone else to apologize to you.
Yeah.
And it's all a huge self-reflection.
Yeah, I
It's
think my bad. I'm so sorry.
what,
Yeah,
Martin,
I was
you're
gonna
so
say
eager
real
to say
quick.
it.
Yeah,
It's
Martine, just say it. Cut us
because
off in our own podcast.
because I'm a
Jeez.
man, so I need attention. No, but I was actually just gonna say like because you brought up the apology the you don't shouldn't expect an apology and stuff. I think a lot of that made a lot of sense too. Like that's a huge part of this grudge stuff is also ego. Like we don't like being hurt and stuff like that. So we feel like we need some type of like I need to hear you apologize if you hurt me. Like no, you shouldn't expect that. Just if you want to be heard, like you said, like express yourself, but that other person can take that information how they want to take it. You shouldn't be like, I explain myself, so I'm expecting this to go my way. Like you shouldn't expect anything. Don't have a way. Just say, I'm trying to let myself be heard. And if this is a situation that continues, they're like, well, I don't want to be around this type of energy. I need to move on. Like I don't understand people that do need to seem like to be
Well, that's
the
the other
drama. I
part
don't
of it.
understand that.
And that's the other part of it is don't for your own sanity, don't wait on that sorry. Don't wait on that apology because that's also living in the past. That's somebody from the past hurt you, whether they did it on purpose or not. I mean, definitely acknowledge yourself and take care of yourself and be like, yeah, that was not fair. It hurt my feelings. That was fucked up. But anytime that's a grudge, right? Like if you're expecting an apology from someone, that's another way to look at a grudge because it's like, okay, so your happiness towards your present moment is dependent on that person's ability to recognize that they hurt you, to be like really conscious enough and confident enough to come up to you and be like, my bad. I mean, you're gonna wait a really long time and you're depending
And plus
your peace. Yeah.
those people don't even know those expectations you just gave them
Yeah.
Yeah.
within yourself. So it's just like we're not all mind readers. And how many times do I say that jokingly around? But it's so true. You guys are saying exactly that. You're expecting an apology from someone who doesn't even know they hurt your feelings because it's your own expectation.
Yeah. And then that's
Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
thing.
exactly. And that's a whole other thing. And it's like, well, I thought you were mad because of this. And it's just like,
Yep.
well, it's a big assumption. It's about communicating your feelings in that moment. And then, yeah, getting it all out on the table and not 5 months later when it's like, who the hell even remembers what you are feeling? You know what I mean? Because you're feeling what you're feeling, which is valid, but you need to say it in that moment and not carry it for that long. And then it's just going to start a snowball effect.
Some people will be weird towards each other for like 10 years over like some miscommunication. And it's just you're wasting your time, like don't waste your time. Live in the moment by making sure you're telling people like what I told Robert, I said, we'll talk about this as many times as we need to. Or when my mom, like I expect her to apologize to me all the time for shit. And I'm like, no. And I understand. It's just like, no, don't be dependent on her. And if you want to do something nice for her, or if you want to make her feel okay, sometimes I'm like, no, but she's fucked up or whatever. And it's just like, are you practicing unconditional love towards others or not? Because if I'm saying, well, I don't want to, do this favor for my mom because she didn't do this favor for me, I'm being conditional. I'm saying, so then, Cindy, you're ability to help others around you is dependent on their ability to give you that same whatever the hell is going on in your brain, whatever expectation you want out of them. And it's not going to happen. So it's like, it's crazy. We're going deep. I like this because it just gave me some therapy about like, yeah, if I'm being unconditional, and it's like, do that favor because you know it's the right thing to do. Done. That's it. She's not going to say thank you. If she does, it doesn't matter. You're doing it because that's the type of karma you want. That's the type of vibration you try to attract.
Or that's your choice at
yeah.
the end of the day. And there should be no expectation on your mom's side. Okay, well, I did this, so you owe me. It's like, no, that's not how the world works.
Yeah. Good. We did good today, guys.
Great conversation, guys.
Yeah.
I liked it too. Thanks, Martin, for not being so over the top. You proved me wrong, bro.
You were expecting something. See, this is what we're talking about. You just destroyed this whole episode by that. You had an expectation.
No, I said my piece, and I said, "Well, Martin, thanks for proving me wrong."
I'm holding a grudge against you now.
Well, don't let this last a 5-year grudge where we see you guys at the barbecue and like you guys are both like giving each other
Just
like awkward looks and like bumping into each other and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. I'm just gonna get some soda."
Jess is the type of person that just posts a picture of like the family and has that other person like photoshopped out, like a clear passive aggressive hate message.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's like with yearbooks. Remember, whoever you didn't like, you could cross them out and like talk shit to them. Like,
I did not do that.
Yeah, you did. You're so petty.
I never even got my yearbook. I think I stopped after middle school. After that, I was like, I'm not gonna spend like $100. I'm like, I don't even like half these people.
Yeah,
I would always leave school.
Yeah, yearbooks are such a trap. Don't do it, you guys. Don't buy your yearbooks. Get a digital copy.
Don't buy a yearbook. Do whatever the hell you want. How is this advice? Don't buy your yearbook.
So that's the solution.
Don't pay anything for your schools.
The solution we have for you guys tonight for unresolved conflict is stop investing in high school yearbooks because that's where they get you.
And that's our show.
It's where it starts. And it's a wrap.
All right, everybody. Have a great day and a great week. Please like our video. Give us some feedback. Bye.
Bye, guys.